Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. As always, I'm Andrew.
And I'm here to bring you the breaking news, which is quite rare for us. We're usually a little bit ahead of the curve. We usually bring out a topic.
We are.
And then it becomes really super relevant in the days afterwards. This time we've done it the other way around. We've waited for the event and then done an episode.
It's the curse of Crossing Swords, really. It just happens so often, it does our head in.
That and the STDs.
That too. But we don't talk about that. But what I wanted to do is ask you to...
Forgive me.
Last week was a tremendous episode, and due to myself just absolutely shitting the bed technically, basically just not pressing a button before recording, you missed out on quality audio.
Yep.
And sound effects.
And the sound effects were... Because I just said this, I mentioned Leanne a lot in the last episode.
You did. 1 second. It's the wrong soundboard.
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
That's the wrong one.
I mean...
It's this one.
Wife's name out your fucking mouth.
And that's why I did it. That's what you were missing out on. Will Smith, can I just say, did not just slap the shit out of me. I've never met Will Smith.
I would love it if I got a text from you saying you're not going to believe.
Yeah, you'll never believe this. Load up the
today.
soundboard.
Will Smith walked in and just...
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
And that's how I'd say it.
It would, but I would love to know what you'd done to upset him to the point that he decided to smack you.
I probably made a G.I. Jane joke.
Especially as you work for a charity, so you've got to do something really bad for Will Smith to walk in and smack the shit out of
I know,
you.
I'm a good guy.
Oh,
on the face of it. On the face of it.
On
Like,
paper.
for all appearances.
Yeah, you're doing... I mean, I don't want to throw you... I'm not going to say his name, but there's been people in the past that were very charitable, did a lot for the community and turned out to be right scumbags. So I feel like we could... I've
never been to a paediatrics unit, all right? Other than as a patient when I was a child. So let's just get that out there.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, maybe you've seen his mistakes and gone, do you know what? I've got to learn from it.
Yeah, you don't go in through the front door, you idiot.
I reckon if we ever get successful, it's a big if, but you know, you can dream. But if that does happen, I'm going to be afraid every day of what might come out of the woodwork.
Me too. As we know from a previous episode, if you get a terminal diagnosis, I'm on the way out. So,
well, there's that. I mean,
that's my fear.
That's your fear. You're just living in fear every day. I hope he doesn't get cancer.
Yeah.
People are like, he's really sweet. He's like, no, because he's going to kill me.
I say, so sorry about the news. You're like, what, the death sentence for me? You mean?
I couldn't give a shit about him.
Fuck that guy. He's already dead. I'm like, do you know, in This Is the End, it's like, it's too late for you. You're in a hole. That's what I'll be like with you. I'm like, it's too late for you. You're already dead.
In the film. It's a trap.
I was trying to save him.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, this week there's only really one thing we could talk about, and we love talking about it. We've done it a few times now, and that's our Prime Minister, still our Prime Minister. For now.
The evening Prime Minister.
Mr. Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a story over the Platinum Jubilee weekend. By the way, did you do anything to celebrate the Platinum Jubilee weekend?
Not because I'm anti-monarchist. I think I've probably mentioned on the past.
We actually opened up a season by doing an episode on royals. I think it was season 3. So if anyone wants to go back and listen to our views on the royals, I just thought it was a good opportunity, and I just sort of like, I like an awkward segue, but that one kind of just was a bit more natural.
Right. That felt natural. Right. It felt good. But yeah, naturally I am in support of the monarchy. It was just, I was working, and to be honest, we don't really know many people around here, and I know that's sort of the idea. But our road in particular didn't do a party. 2 roads adjacent did.
Road opposite me didn't get an invite. But
well, no, I think they just kept to their roads when they were doing invites.
I went out anyway.
Like each road could do their own.
I went on a date.
Oh,
so take that what you will.
Oh shit!
They can keep their
Another one.
Another date.
Another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the timeline is on that before you can use the phrase "another one." But I have been on other dates in my life, if that counts.
I'm just trying to pick you up, man.
Do it again.
Another one.
God damn right. I'm flipping through them.
So, can we talk about this lady?
No, I feel like a bit rude to do it on air.
Fair. That's fair. I get that.
Get stuffed.
Nice way to bring it back round, though.
Yes. So, Mr. Boris Johnson faced a
You've just heard saying get stuffed.
Get stuffed, yeah. He
got stuffed.
Well, he didn't.
It wasn't good, though.
No. So he faced a vote of no confidence.
Yeah. Interestingly, quite a lot of the MPs who wrote the letters to the 1922 committee, apparently quite a few of them mentioned the Jubilee weekend in it and said, please don't announce anything until after the weekend. I don't want it to spoil the weekend. Apparently, Sir Graham Brady said that quite a few letters that he received mentioned that.
Okay. It's interesting. I think that's fair, to be honest, because the Queen has been a magnificent servant over us.
Oh, that's all grand. But if ever there was a reason for a street party,
what, getting rid of Boris?
It's the prospect of Boris going.
But he didn't go.
He didn't go, but it was very much the numbers were, and I've got the numbers here, if I may.
Yeah,
have you got the numbers?
Please do. Please help yourself.
You got the numbers?
I wrote them down just in case.
So 359 Tory MPs sitting in the House of Parliament.
Yeah.
They voted 211 voted to keep him.
Yeah.
148 voted against him. What that means is 41% of the party
wanted him gone.
Voted against him.
Yeah.
And actually, when you break that down, it actually works out at there's a sort of a term that's not frequently used called payroll MPs.
Yeah.
Which is basically the ministers and whatever else who benefit more directly. I mean, this is a really, really loose definition, so please go and do your own research into it. But who benefit more directly from the big Tory donors.
Yeah.
And actually what it means, the way it breaks down is that 75% of the non-payroll MPs, the ones that rely a little bit
less,
that don't benefit so much from the big Tory money, 75% of them voted against him.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
And then Nadine Dorries, fucking a dick. I mean, I don't know what else you can say about her.
No, she went on telly, didn't she?
She went on telly and claimed that, just before, she claimed that the big donors who have donated £80 million to the Tory party this year, they would pull their money and their funding if Boris wasn't re-elected. So you're holding them hostage.
And she actually specified that marginal seats and
should think about that.
And backbenchers should really think about that.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I mean, it's obvious that would have been done behind closed doors anyway, but I certainly don't think they should be allowed to say that sort of thing publicly. I mean, because it's admitting...
It's nakedly admitting to all the cards being held by a few non-elected.
Yeah, that there's people behind the scenes that give us money that could basically control what we do.
Yeah, and my favourite Dorries moment though was when, first of all, did you see how he had the week with Andrew Neil doing a rap?
No.
Not doing a rap. Oh no, she might have been doing it with Andrew Neil, but she definitely did like a TikTok rap thing to promote something. It's embarrassing. But my favourite thing was she was like, "We're at war. You know, it's an important time now. We're at war with Ukraine." It's like, I don't think we're at war with Ukraine. I don't feel like that's completely misread the situation. And it reminded me of something that happened off air between seasons. And I don't know if you saw this. I can't remember if we spoke about it, but George W. Bush's slip.
No.
When he was talking about Ukraine, and he says, "This is much less a war than it is one deranged man's needless and relentless assault on Ukraine."
I didn't see that.
It's so good. Watch it, because he kind of at the end he just goes, "Ooh," you know, just does this little like shrug, and it's like, bro, did you just admit to like the war crimes that you've been heavily? Oh, it's so good. It's just like this, like, oh, my bad moment. Maybe it's just
something that's so deeply embedded in him that it's that Freudian.
I mean, like, I did think, like, in his defence, and there won't be many times that you'll hear me come to the defence of George W., but he did spend, like, a large part of his tenure talking about Iraq.
Yes.
Mostly due to his own doing, but that's neither here nor there. That's a different thing. But to compare the Boris Johnson result to Theresa May's result, when Theresa May had her vote of no confidence a couple of years ago, or a few years ago now, she won with 200 votes to 117.
Yeah.
She only had 317 available, but what it meant is that 37% voted against her.
Yeah.
And she went within 6 months.
Yeah,
now Boris...
And in fact, Jacob Rees-Mogg went on television immediately after that result and called on her to resign.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
Boris...
It's the whole thing was...
It's funny, I've written down the opposite figures. I've put that Boris had a 59% approval from the MPs.
Interesting.
And Theresa May had 63%. And he only has marginally better than what Margaret Thatcher had when she was removed.
Yeah, and I think interesting, a lot of people, when I was... Because I didn't know about it, so basically... and it's hence why you did the promotion this weekend. Not that people need to know the behind the scenes, is that I had a social media break over the weekend.
Yeah.
So Friday night I did a Happy Pride Month tweet, and then I was just gone. I just took myself completely offline.
That's fair. Any particular reason?
Till Tuesday. Yeah, I think it was just I'm obviously and that some listeners will know that I can get a bit Twitter heavy.
You definitely tweet more than I do.
It's not always a pleasant place, and you kind of rabbit hole a bit into the.
Is that from responses
God, this
you're
country's
getting?
scum. No, you just see all the news, and you see more and more threads and people reporting about what's happening in Parliament, particularly in like government and stuff. And it's like, God, this country's scummy, and oh God, and all that.
It's very difficult.
It's quite bleak. And then obviously you get into stories from all over the world that, again, just not very happy. And it's so I just kind of thought, right, for a weekend,
had enough for a bit.
I'm going to see if I can just avoid it. And it's also a test of will.
And how did you get on?
It's tough because I'll be honest, when I'm idle, I do just, my natural inclination is to just do it.
It's by design. It's what it's designed to do.
Yeah, and it's mad. It's like this. So when I've been off Facebook for a while now. When I took myself off Facebook, because I watched this documentary on Netflix.
We've watched exactly the same documentary, I'd imagine. Is it The Social Dilemma?
I think it is, yeah. And it was like, it's mad.
Very good
within like
documentary
2
to
days,
watch.
My Facebook had like 30 plus notifications or something. Because it knows that historically I will always respond after 1 or 2 notifications. And it just went up and up and up. And I was like, Jesus, this is insane. And Twitter was the same.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I came off it, suddenly I had like 30 notifications being like, so-and-so's tweeted and this is tweeted, and you're like...
And it can make you a bit obsessive. I don't necessarily... I try... It's a tactic I employ. I try and respond to things to get people to like what I've said, to click on my page, see the link to the podcast. And it's a very indirect bit. I think it can work.
Oh, definitely.
And I had this weekend, and you do get a little bit of a buzz from it. I just responded to, there was from Lad Bible.
Oh, yeah.
There was a thing about that they were adding halloumi fries, right?
I saw this. I saw your viral tweet. I was going to mention that you had a little viral.
It's calmed it down a little. For me, it's viral.
For us, it's viral.
I got like 30 likes on what I said, and it was literally...
No, it's more like 40 by the time I saw it. Yeah, it was up.
I've only seen 30. But it was...
might have even been 50, but it was up.
All I responded was, but no breakfast wrap, and then just We Riot, and loads of people have just liked it. And actually, I then went and checked our podcast stats,
and they'd gone up.
So it definitely helps. So that's sort of why I do it. But you do get... I was getting a little bit like that's a lot of likes.
Oh, mate, when you get a tweet that gets a lot of likes, it just gives you this buzz.
Twitter gives you this notification in your notifications tab that says, well done, this tweet is being viewed X amount of times. Because they know it's higher than what you usually get. I mean, it's still piddly numbers. Like one of them was like, "Oh, your tweet's been seen by 90 people." And you're like, "Oh."
I mean, I had a tweet that went again a response to a big account that I had finished on like 1,600 likes or something, and it's like the fucking best feeling. I can see why people chase that.
Oh, absolutely. So I can completely understand on the reverse of it, with the amount of negativity that can be there, why you don't want to be on it. It stopped me for a while responding to a lot of stuff. Like I was following a lot of football pages on Facebook, and I was responding to stuff. And then it didn't matter what I put, how reasoned I tried to be, or like I would give both sides to what I was saying. And people would just come back at you going, "You're a fucking idiot. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I remember tweeting once in response to, I saw a thing about a woman talking about football. And talking about her experiences of it.
Yeah.
And I just sort of came on and was like, yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, it's, sex and gender have got nothing to do with it. You like football, you like football, that kind of thing. And immediately just the responses were like, "Oh, she won't shag you, mate." And it's like, I understand that that's banter.
Yeah.
But when like 30 people are coming up with the same joke, I don't know that it is.
Though, no.
And to be honest, and I'll be fair here, those were the nice ones. Those were the nice responses.
Yeah, it's the epitome of someone doing this. Do you know what I mean?
It's
that
exactly
sort of
what
thing.
it is, and like they were getting quite. They weren't really like getting threatening or too dark, but there was a lot of like. It sort of brought out a lot of misogyny, and I just found that really negative because there's a lot of people being like, "No, fucking don't. They don't know anything. They ruin it. They don't know anything, and it's my space and it's our space and whatever." And it's like, mate, if you're insecure about some shit. That's your problem.
To be honest, recently with the football content I've been consuming, apart from one thing, a lot of them have been introducing more women, and the people I've enjoyed on them the most have been the women. So saying it's our space and stuff, it's just ridiculous.
And this summer, thanks to the World Cup being in Qatar and in the winter, the football over the summer is the women's Euros.
Okay.
So there's women's football. Women's football and women liking football are two separate things. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, sorry, just to get back around to it, I wasn't online. So my mum actually was the one. I was speaking to her on Monday at one point, and she sort of said, about Boris and the vote of no confidence. And I was like, oh, right, it's happening. And then I was like, right, I've got to stay offline. I've been tweeting shit about Boris for years and nothing. And I go offline for one weekend and there's a vote of confidence. I was like, I've got to stay off until the vote comes through just in case.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people I was seeing, so I went online on like BBC and Sky and sites like that. And a lot of the commentators was all saying the same thing. They were like, anything around the 130, 133 mark is bad.
Yeah.
If anything around 130 votes against him, it's going to make his position
almost
somewhat untenable.
Yeah.
And in the next sort of 6 to 12 months, obviously the vote of confidence as it stands means that he can't be challenged again for 12 months.
No, although that's not as solid as you might think.
No, absolutely not, because the backbenchers threatened to change it when Theresa May won her vote of confidence.
Yeah.
So they could do it again.
Yeah, and the chair of the 1922 committee has said it's very much changeable.
But they all said, anything around the 130 mark was bad.
Yeah.
So 148 is really bad.
So do you think he will stay in office until the next general election?
Yeah, because he's the exception to the rule.
Yeah, I see your point.
Most people,
I think the difference is Theresa May had very little political capital at any point, even when she'd first been elected.
And when she was decent enough that when the support went from her, she was decent enough to realise that the party's no longer under my control. Yeah. It's split, and it's not, I need to leave. And she stepped down and she sort of did the, for want of terms, honourable thing.
Yeah.
But Boris doesn't have that in him. Boris isn't that guy.
No.
So
I don't know what
I don't think it's a bad thing for him. Short term, it's bad for the country.
Yeah.
Long
term,
because
it means it will be more difficult for him to get anything through, because the level of support he'll have in the party will be.
But I think long term, I don't think it's a bad thing, because if he's in charge come the next general election, this whole thing has proven that this Partygate thing isn't going away. The public will remember, and all those marginal seats and all those.
It's funny you say
seats
that.
Like in the north that were won, the red wall, so to speak.
I was watching something.
They'll be gone
this morning. That's exactly right. They've said from polling at the moment, 85 out of the 88 seats they won from Labour in the last general election have said
gone.
They won't vote for the Conservatives again. Not necessarily Labour, but they won't vote Conservative.
And Labour and Lib Dems have already committed to a pact, a coalition.
Yeah.
To mainly just because they want to change the electoral system as well.
Talking about
I think long term it's probably not the worst thing if I can try and put a spin on it.
Do you feel confident though? Because obviously it provides Labour a really good opportunity over the next year if he does, or over a year till the next general election, if he stays in charge, to really ramp up. Like if I was them, I'd be putting every penny I can into whatever ad campaigns, into showing how. Like I'd get in touch with Led by Donkeys. They are phenomenal at
they're so good.
These things out.
They're so good.
I would be ramping up all of that style of stuff, and I'll try and put a link in the description for the video I'm talking about, because it was really good, and it just sort of gave a history of Boris's life and his behaviour, and it's all known. It was always known. He constantly lies, constantly does whatever he wants.
He got fired from a newspaper for making up stories.
Yeah, making up a quote.
It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, and apparently when he was in school, he demonstrated a serious lack of responsibility and extreme anger when challenged on it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But like, I think what baffles me the most is that all of this is known, and I sort of tweeted you, and it was because of this point. Because I think you responded to something saying that our local MP it was rumoured he'd written a letter of no confidence.
And I can say now that it's not a rumour.
No,
he was on the BBC when I was in the gym, because I go to the gym now, it's no big deal. I'm kind of like hench.
You can tell, bro.
I'm pretty flexing.
Sexy.
He was actually on the news today because he was because his seat was a marginal seat. Obviously, it's been Lib Dem for a long time.
1,000 votes.
It was a very close seat, and he was on the news saying that it's, you know, it's untenable. It's just not okay. That the trust has completely gone.
Yeah. And I think you had responded to the rumour saying I would have a lot more respect for him
if it's true.
If it's true, and I get that. But I think for me, and I think my response was,
no, you're backing him before you've been backing him despite everything was public.
None of this is news.
No.
None of Boris's attitude, his level of responsibility, his behaviour is news to anyone. So he was happy to stand as an MP.
No,
for the
and it's doing it for the wrong.
Him as his leader.
It's doing it for the wrong reasons because you're trying to save your own skin.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, it is still
and I don't
think
that's going to work anyway. I don't think he'll keep his seat, if I'm honest.
No, I think it will go back to Lib Dem. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Because Boris is still in.
Yeah.
Because Boris is still there.
So do you reckon if he had have lost last night and whoever they put in charge, they could have had a year or so to get things sorted?
Because when
do
Boris...
you think they could have?
Because when Boris says... Because this is like... No offence, but the British public are thick as shit. When Boris says, let's draw a line under the sand...
Yeah.
It's like, but we can't draw a line under the sand. You still did those things you did. There's still photos emerging of you, and there's still things.
For any of it.
And you know, him standing in Parliament saying like, "I've been humbled," and then making jokes within a minute later, and it's like, "I was very humble."
Yeah, and like more details are coming out of things like the police didn't investigate certain events. He wasn't issued fines for things that other people were issued fines for at the same event.
Yeah.
Other events haven't been looked into, like Harry's and
what was quite worrying
birthday.
Was he said quite early on, when the police when it was clear that the police might give fixed penalty notices, it was clear really. He actually was quoted as saying, he's like, I think he's on microphone saying it to someone. He's saying like, I've been assured, like, don't worry, I've been assured that I won't receive more than one. So then months later, when he's received only one, and like you say, everyone else around him at the same point has received. All the junior staff have received multiple ones. It begs a lot of questions.
It does, but I think still what worries me though is scrolling through different threads and listening to radio shows. The amount of people that still support him.
Can I just say one of my favourite comedy acts, I guess it is at the moment, and certainly online, are Exploding Heads. They do the fake phone-in calls, and like I got duped the first time I saw one. I was like, this is ridiculous, and then I clocked, I was like, it's a bit, it's a thing. And it's worrying now that sometimes I listen to like LBC or I'll see
you can't
clips,
tell if it's genuine,
and I'm like, fucking hell, because sometimes they'll share a clip, like LBC will post a clip, and then they'll share it and be like, yeah, we're just trying out some new accents here, guys. Because it is so worrying. It's
this blind loyalty, and I was actually talking to my sister about it today because she said like people say he got Brexit done and things like that, and it's like, well, technically on paper he has,
and yet today Jacob Rees-Mogg, at point of recording the day after the no confidence vote, Jacob Rees-Mogg was on the news saying that Boris needed to stay so that he could get Brexit done. Well, I thought Brexit was done. I thought that was the whole platform you rode in on. This man who's been appointed to look for Brexit benefits.
It's just everywhere you look, it's inconsistent. Everywhere you look, it's dodgy. And like the Nadine Dorey thing really worried me because it was like we're now just openly admitting to the corruption that's going on.
But do you know what? It doesn't even matter whether he went or whether he stays or whether he goes at the next election. For me, as far as I can see, the damage is done. Because what he's made abundantly clear is that you can get away with anything. You can say,
provided you've got
you can literally
appeal.
Lie and contradict yourself in the same sentence, and you'll get away with it. You know, you can, in an interview, you can say to someone one thing, and they go, "But you just said something else," and you can go, "No, I didn't," and that doesn't matter. Apparently, you can get away with that. You know, the corruption, the fact that he knew the police were only going to issue him one notice, and he issued one despite being present for all the other things that everyone else was getting done for. All that, the lying at the dispatch box,
proroguing Parliament,
all of it, and he's already proven that you can do it and get away with it, and all it does is it sets the precedent for the next scumbag in office.
I think I tweeted about it and just said it. I'm not as bothered by what he's done. It's the fact that he's got away with it, and it opens up the door.
It's his legacy
for whatever because like before,
they've literally banned
perhaps we
protesting.
were too ridiculous with what we expected people to resign over. Like someone might have had an affair, and you'd expect them to resign. I don't necessarily think that's fair. There could be all sorts of reasons why someone's had an affair, not justifying it, but there's, I don't know if
their personal life does not concern their professional life necessarily.
But we've got to a stage where you can just do whatever the fuck you like.
I mean,
and as long as you're popular enough,
are quite obviously taking Class A drugs just before they go on telly to do interviews.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Gove, Boris Johnson, even today, like sniffing his nose thing and with the mannerisms and stuff, and it was like, you've blatantly just done cocaine. Like, there's no way
allegedly
that you can I mean, obviously you will deny it.
I just feel like we've got to protect ourselves a little bit there.
Fuck him, he can come for us.
Well, you can come for you.
Hopefully I'll see him in person in court.
Fair enough. Well,
I'll take that bullet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, to be fair,
load it in a gun
would
and
be
sort of shoot it at him.
Wouldn't it?
It would be good exposure.
Yeah, surely we'd go viral.
Yeah.
Like
There'd be a lot of people.
Viral.
A lot of people, I reckon, there'd be a lot of speculation about, is one of us an estranged son?
Yeah.
And, a love child somewhere down the line.
Mate, that was the thing that got me the most, that kept making me laugh when I was watching the Led by Donkeys video, was just, and he's having another kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's full on.
Another one.
It was that throughout the whole thing. And every time he got someone pregnant, it was never his wife. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's never his wife. It's always someone. It's always with an affair.
Carrie Johnson is the first one, isn't she? It feels
that
like,
she's got pregnant.
Yeah, I guarantee you he's banging someone else currently. I don't know who 100%. It is, but 100%. It's someone. It's someone. But yeah, and it's just...
I mean, it shows how much money and power can do, because look at him.
Yeah, he's not great. I mean, I would give him his due. When he was young and slimmer, he looks better than he does now.
Yeah, turds can look not nicer than they were before they melt in the sun, but doesn't mean they look nice.
Bro, you're talking about my life.
It's not good. Isn't it? He's not good.
But do you...
So that's where I stand on that. That's a statement. You can take that.
That's fair.
He's not good.
He's not good, absolutely. And I think I know what Boris would say to you in response to that.
Get stuff.
He'd call me. He'd probably make a joke out of my name.
Or he might invite you out to a trip to...
Peppa Pig World.
Oh, Peppa Pig World was such a good moment. Such a good moment.
But yeah.
Also, the Boris thing, because that's not his name.
No, it's not.
And I don't think a lot of people realise that.
No, it's just sort of his nickname, isn't it?
It's his middle name.
Yeah.
It's like
Isn't
Alexander de Pfeffel
Yeah.
Boris Johnson or something.
Yeah.
It's like some weird, well, not weird. I think it's like South African, but
yeah. And he wasn't
Dutch,
born here. He was born in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was something I didn't know either until this morning.
Doesn't bother me personally.
No.
Everything about his personality does.
Yeah, everything else bothers me except for the fact he was born in New York.
Yeah, he was born where he wants.
Yeah, that's fair. Do we have a rule in this country about it has to be someone British?
I mean, you have to be. I know you have to be a citizen.
Yeah,
I mean, he is a citizen.
Obviously, yeah. I'm not questioning his lineage, but I'm just curious because obviously in America you can't be the president unless you're.
No one ever wanted to do a birth certificate check on Boris, did they?
No, I wish they would. Could you imagine if we found out something else? I don't know, like Barack Obama's his father.
I mean, I would understand why Barack kept his distance.
Absolutely, absolutely. But going back to the issue at hand, so to speak. So obviously now we potentially have at least, going by Theresa May, a 6-month period.
Mm.
But say
he could ramp up shit and start trying to pass shit through.
Oh, absolutely.
In preparation for what's to come.
But my other question is, do you have any confidence in Labour / Sir Keir Starmer to capitalise on this?
Sir Keir Starmer, you mean?
Sir Keir Starmer.
Well, honestly, I don't.
Mm.
I do think Labour have struggled with. Labour find it really hard. What they've got is they went from sort of one extreme to the other. Obviously, the extreme of Jeremy Corbyn being certainly perceived as quite far to the left, going to Sir Keir Starmer, who's being perceived as quite central and possibly even like, but being the kind of like the goody Boy Scout kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And whereas Corbyn's a bit of the left wing rebel, and
yeah, he's the guy that sat down with terrorists and
what they really need is someone like Boris, in the sense that someone with personality, someone with
you need a nicer version of Boris Johnson.
And
I think he's trying his best. I think the problem is, as we've said before, you need someone who can play politics. he can't, I don't think, particularly. And also, I don't think he wants to, and that's part of the problem.
No, I respect that, but I think...
Absolutely.
But I think he needs
but is it effective opposition?
He needs a more kind of brilliant nature. He needs a more...
Or he needs to surround himself with more of those people that can help him navigate those waters. I mean, having listened to the guy be interviewed for about an hour, he does genuinely come across as quite a nice bloke, very successful.
Yeah.
Hasn't been in politics that long.
No, he's honest and he's down to earth, but he's not the kind of guy you can have a pint with. And I think
he's Sir. I think I've said before.
Sir, yeah.
I wonder whether that's part of the problem as well. But that he is a knight of the realm.
You know, remember when the surge that UKIP had, obviously led by kind of xenophobia, but a lot of that was people thinking Nigel Farage's a bloke you can have a drink with.
Yeah.
And Labour needs someone like that.
I think part of that with Boris as well. He's been very good over the years of showing this sort of man of the people image, and I think he's ridden that. But for some reason, there's still a large swathe of the population that buy into that, despite the fact he's shown nothing.
Not even close to being a man of the people.
No, and I think that's something that really scares me going forward. It's not just the lack of action and support towards working class people, but the general. It feels like disinterest in the working class.
He feels a little bit to me in only one very specific way. So I don't want to absolutely mug this person off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names, but I know someone. I think you know them as well. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I know someone.
I'll be trying to figure out who it is now.
Who,
not to name them on the pod.
Who sort of likes to go for positions of power. They don't really care about the job or the thing that they're doing. So in their personal life, in their hobbies, they want to become the leader of whatever it is they're doing. They kind of want to work that way up. When they're at work, they want to go for the kind of the various management positions that become available and stuff. And it's like, I don't think they actually want that. They just want like the title.
Yeah,
and
they
the
want
kind of position.
It's what feels like status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like in that one very specific way, in every other way they're very different to Boris Johnson, but in that one specific way, it's very much like Boris Johnson.
Okay.
I don't think he gives a shit about ruling. He just wants the title and the power, and then at the end of the day,
he wants the opinion that comes with it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that guy's quite important.
Yeah, and then he's open to anything else, to being led down various paths to be made the rich richer.
Yeah. And I think, I can't remember who I was talking to about this the other day, but I said, can someone just explain to me?
You talk to other people?
Sometimes. It was probably my mum. But it was about, obviously, the rising cost of fuel and energy and everything like that. And I was just like, how can someone explain to me how we're in a situation where all of the companies that are having these shortages are having bumper profits, but yet the prices are rising? How are they still? I just don't understand.
No.
How we're in this position. Like our monthly electric bill, I think it was going up around £50-60 a month.
Yeah. And that's a lucky one.
The cost of petrol is, that's what, £720 a year minimum, and that's just and that's with me and my mum trying to be as conservative as possible with what we're using.
Yeah.
And then the fuel price, it won't surprise me if it hits £2 a litre soon.
The RAC are telling drivers to prepare for it.
Yeah, it looks imminent because even the cheaper garages are hitting 180 now.
Yeah, well, I fueled up at a supermarket the other day, and generally supermarkets, because they don't rely on.
Yeah, if you go somewhere like,
money.
I don't mind saying a name, Asda. If you go to them,
there's one
they
near
have
us,
there's one that tends to be slightly cheaper than
and
else,
like the reason is well, also they don't rely on the fuel to make their money. They just
That's true. It's it's like an
they
added
sort
benefit
of want it.
Sort of
they
thing.
want you to get you there. They want you to another reason for you to come, kind of thing. So they're able to offer. So they're able to take fewer profits on the fuel itself because they'll be making the profits
money from you
in
coming
the store.
Into the store. Yeah.
And so I went to, the reasons is I went to a supermarket and it was like 172, basically 171.9, and it was like, I sort of looked at the receipt, I sort of looked at the thing as I was filling up, and I was like, joking. I was like, this is the cheaper one. Fucking hell, man.
And I don't drive, And I genuinely would. There's no way on God's green earth I could afford to run a car at the moment if I had a license.
It's tough.
And I don't know how people are doing it, and especially for people that rely on a car for their work. So like
I'm
if
already
you're
driving
like an Amazon driver or something like, or any delivery driver, and they're freelance essentially. They're not. I don't imagine their fuel's being covered by the job.
Saw a haulage company saying that the cost of running a lorry over a year, fueling it, because it's obviously diesel and they have big tanks, but they fuel up a lot. They do a lot of journeys.
Yeah.
They said it's gone up at the, if the prices stay as it is, then they'll be paying 20 grand more a year in fuel to run one lorry. That's a big, when you look at the big picture and if you're a haulage company who's got like five lorries, suddenly you're paying 100 grand a year more out of your business than you were before, and it's like,
where do you find that money from?
That's a big expense.
Yeah. And then on top of that, for a haulage company with the restrictions since Brexit, it must be even harder.
Yes, I can't believe that Natalie Elphig, or whatever, however you say her name, is still backing Boris and Brexit. And it's like, your constituency has suffered so fucking much because of Brexit, and you're still out here peddling the denial of Brexit.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Well, they will to the hilt. I think until Boris is no longer PM, if there's another Conservative PM, then I think they might have a different stance on Brexit, because it's not like Boris is the one who's chiming, I've got it done.
But I also think as well, in saying another Prime Minister, if another member of Parliament, another minister or whatever, steps up and takes that role, then it's much easier for the public to accept when they say, let's draw a line under the sand. And the public go, because Boris is gone and broke.
Yeah,
even if they were present, even if they did get a fixed penalty notice, it doesn't matter, because Boris is taking all the heat for it. So if Johnson goes, then they can ship out those worries with him, and they can throw Partygate out with him.
Put their hands up and go, oh, it wasn't us, it was that guy.
Yeah.
Despite the fact every single one of them, like, for example, was it Liz Truss, who before becoming a cabinet minister was like, publicly said, I will never back Brexit, it's the worst thing we could possibly do for our country, became a cabinet minister, pretended like she supported it all along.
She was very pro EU, and like particularly going back to her uni days, apparently when she was part of her debating team. Yeah. Apparently she chose to do a number of her debates on pro European Union, on the benefits and why we shouldn't.
Yeah, but Boris Johnson himself.
Yeah,
exactly the same.
2012 or whatever it was, he was saying.
Two releases, didn't he, at the same time? One pro-EU and one anti. And when he noticed anti was far more supported, I'll go that way. Yeah. And I think that's what bugs me the most, is when Brexit and all the things Boris has done has so much support. I think they genuinely believe that there is some sort of vision. Like, in their heads, naively, they think, oh, well, Boris knows what he's doing. But it's not. He's just going in waves. It's just whatever's fashionable.
There's always a little bit of, and people have said this for years, where they kind of go, at least I might not like someone, but I respect them, that they have their convictions and they have their beliefs. But when you look at the damage that Brexit's done to this country, and you think, you didn't even believe in it.
No.
You didn't even
want, like, 5 years ago.
Until the public
by people
looked
who
like you
I
might
guarantee none of them behind closed doors believe in it. Any of them.
And you can't even say, I respect them. At least they believe it. They didn't believe in it.
No.
They didn't believe in it until the polling said that they should believe in it.
I completely agree.
It's horrible.
But it's the situation we're in. And like, I was having this conversation this morning with my sister and my brother-in-law. And I said, like, but what do you do? I said, beyond overthrowing the system, I don't know how you change any of it. What we can do, the only thing we can do is that as individuals, we try and be more educated on what's going on. And I was thinking about this morning. Like, I don't put a lot of effort into being sort of
informed,
fairly informed. I'm not fully read up on everything. And like for the podcast, I'll cram for about an hour reading and watching different things.
More than I do.
That's as far as I go. And I'll write some notes and things like that. But in terms of in general, it's from Twitter. I follow certain people that I trust, and
but that's it. Do you trust them? And it's that thing of Twitter and social media. It rabbit holes you, man. It sees that you're looking one way, and it only shows you posts that support it.
I think I've been very careful in who I follow, because I don't follow all the same viewpoints, if you get what I mean. So like I follow people like Owen Jones. There's a really left-wing one I follow. There's a really right-wing one I follow.
I've just got to get the name right of someone who...
and I think I followed one through there's someone you follow. I can't remember their name.
I might be about to mention them because I was going to say there's someone that I follow that I
can
do
be quite
really
extreme.
Femi Oluwole.
Yes.
Femi's good.
That's another one.
He's very good because what he does is, and obviously I know anyone can use facts to use, but what he does is he'll literally take quotes, and articles and whatever from either the people he's dissecting, whether it's Nadine Dorries or Boris Johnson, or from leading economists or whatever, and he'll say, this is why what the government's saying is not quite adding up. This is why. And he won't just do it on, when he makes his videos, he backs them.
Yeah.
He brings out all the...
Yeah. So
and he'll sort of make a point of saying, like, and this is the government's own body that's saying, that's contradicting them, kind of thing.
And that's been consistent through everything they've been doing. But I think like I've curated it quite well to the point where I sort of get the gist of what's going on through the opposite viewpoints, and I try and find my opinion somewhere in there. But I don't have to put a lot of effort into it, and I think that's why I get even more disappointed that more people aren't engaged, because it doesn't require a lot of effort. All the information is at your fingertips. But I think the problem is a lot of people take everything at face value, whatever it is they do engage with. So if they happen to watch, like my mum, Jeremy Vine, a lot of my mum's political views come from that show and what she's heard on it. And so depending on who they have on that day depends on the level of credibility that opinion holds. And there's times like my mum will say something to me and I'll go, all right, well, what have you based that on? Like one of the examples where there was a nude party that was sort of coming up.
Nude party?
New party.
All right, well, don't disappoint me like that. Just lie and say nude.
Fine, nude, if that makes you happy. It was a nude
party. Do you love
party,
a nude politician?
And my mum was like, I'm considering voting for them in the council elections. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. What is it you like about them? And she was like, oh, they just seem decent. And I was like, and I went a bit James O'Brien and was a bit like, yeah, but what does that mean? Like, what was it in particular you liked about them? Is there a certain policy, something they want to do in the area? And she just sort of went, and I was like, well, like, look, you can vote for whoever you like. I'm just I wasn't doing it to pull my mum apart. I was just genuinely.
That's the thing. Like,
there's no.
I'm quite critical sometimes of James O'Brien for the way that actually he cuts in a bit too, in my opinion.
Yes, I would
cuts
agree.
in a bit too much, rather than he'll be like, but why? And someone will genuinely be, like you're on the radio, it's a bit nervous, you're not gonna. And also,
I think he loses.
Everyone doesn't speak like broadcasters. They're not all succinct,
and they're not as
and to the point,
and articulate, and as intelligent.
They
as
might go a bit around the houses,
yeah.
But you've got to let them go a bit around the houses, and you can see if they're going a bit too far off point.
I can understand that, but I can understand the reason he doesn't at the same time, because one, he has a very limited window on.
No, but I do think he
should definitely give them more breathing room.
Yeah, quite a few times I've heard people be on their way to explaining, and fair enough, there's plenty to cut down because what they're saying is dumb.
Yeah.
But they'll be on the way to explaining, and he'll cut in early, and it's like, oh, hang on a minute, let's just give him.
Yeah.
But having said that, sometimes if you do take a kind of more relaxed approach, but take that approach with people, it's amazing at how
quickly
effective it is. Because and all you just do is, okay. And it's like, you just got to be a toddler. You just got to go, why?
And the thing is,
why?
Do it to yourself as well.
100%.
So like sometimes, I can't remember, there was something recently, and I wish I could remember what it was, where I went, oh, I don't like that. And then I sat down and I was like, but why don't I like that? And then I started talking myself and I was like, oh, actually, I don't have an issue with that.
Well, it's like
and changed my mind on it completely.
Frank Skinner, who I'm a big fan of. I quite like Frank Skinner. I think he's very funny.
I don't mind Frank Skinner. He's a nice guy.
I saw him recently speaking about, and people speaking about him, about how he's basically done that with himself over the years. And one of the things that he's recently realised is how his own internalized homophobia and sexism. And he said, like, when I was growing up, actually I was really quite sexist and homophobic. And he's like, and it was only by sort of asking myself, digging into it and sort of realizing that I was, and sort of going, but it doesn't make sense to be, that doesn't actually line up with how I feel. It's just, You know, it's such an internalised thing, and it's quite an interesting thing that you can do.
Yeah, and I think what it ultimately comes to, I think we learn to do it as children. We take on board, like I did it a lot. There was a lot of things I would say and think just based off I heard my dad say it, and then
we know someone who actually like all of their opinions came from
and I think
at a time it was me, and it was like music taste, political opinion. Not we weren't like big into politics, but like political opinions. All that stuff was
they
like
were like
just
a social comedian, whoever they were closest to or the most influenced by at the time. They aligned with basically whatever they believed in.
Yeah. So like for a while they were quite left wing and into pop punk, and then it kind of moved away.
Yeah, and I get that, and I think it's quite natural. I've definitely had it, and it's for me, it's just about self-reflection, isn't it? It's about being able.
But I mean, I've got to be fair and say that is a real skill, and not a lot of people possess it.
I think you're right.
Not the majority don't possess it.
No, I think for me, where it came from for me is I tend to overthink a lot. So through that, if there's a situation I'm going into that makes me uncomfortable, I will not necessarily, but it will go through my head beforehand. What could happen? What they might say? What I might say in response? What they might? Then I will go through all of that. So it means I spend
planning
a lot of time.
Planning these podcasts must be a nightmare for you.
No, with the podcast now, I write my notes down. I know generally how I feel about whatever it is we're going to talk about, and I'll just go from there. And quite often, I know with us, we fill it. Well, we just go off on tangents. Do you know what I mean? So
we've already been off on a few today.
Yeah, we have. So that doesn't bother me now. I'm comfortable enough with this. And like doing it last week with Alex, I just want to give him a shout out. He was so naturally himself.
Yeah,
it was beautiful, and that's why I'm so annoyed at the technical issues.
We'll have to get him back on,
and that was what I was going to say. We'll absolutely have him back on. I'll have all the sound effects that I had before. Obviously, it's not going to go down exactly the same, but he'll have his intro. And yeah, it'll just be much better. Now that I know what mistakes I've made, I know.
Have you got a soundboard on there that comes to mind when you think of me?
No, not particularly.
Have you got one that you think of yourself?
No, I've just got different sounds, and I'm going to try, like I did it today, knowing that we were going to talk about Boris. I went and downloaded some Boris ones. So I will, based off of what we're talking about, I will hopefully try and curate it as we go, based off of time and effort levels. But so far it's been going all right, despite the fact the failures last week. But yeah, so through like my things, it's caused me to spend a lot of time, and also having anger issues when I was younger, and counselling when I was younger, I learned to actually look at what the
counselling is actually a really effective way to.
It really is.
I mean, obviously, it's not always affordable, and even more so now. And you know, it's not something that's readily available on the NHS.
It's becoming more available through other services. If you're not worried about whether you have to be face to face with a person, it's on the phone services, there's online services. There's more help being provided. From different from the private sector mainly. But the NHS issue is a real issue, but that comes down to underfunding, which is another issue from a Tory government. But yeah, the counselling and things like that, I was forced to look at the root issues of things, and it gave me tools going forward
to look at things, to retrospectively and introspectively search for things.
And it's why I may not sound it always on the pod, but I'm far less harsh of what I think of people now. I try to be more forgiving, because quite often it will be something, I don't know, there's something else going on when someone's really aggressive. 9 times out of 10, there must be something going on that's pissed them off that day.
Yesterday, I was with someone who had a real angry outburst at me, and it was over nothing.
Yeah.
And I was angry because I was like, no, fuck you coming at me. I'll fucking come at you, you dick.
Absolutely, and that's normal.
But at the same time, I was like, I will get past this anger. I'm going to be angry for a bit because it's really pissed me off. But I was like, at the same time, I was like, okay, I know exactly what's going on with them, because I know this person and I know and it's never the thing.
No.
Like when people get angry, I would say 99 times out of 100, it's never the thing that they're getting angry over.
It's a build up, and it was just the last.
Yeah. There's something else going on, and that just happened to trigger it.
And the thing is, again, I don't blame people for the fact they're not more, don't look inwards as much, because also who has the time always to sit down. If you're busy working full time and you might have a family, a miss, whatever's going on.
Or you might be like Boris, you might have several families.
Jesus, how that man gets anything done. He just must not ever see his children.
Yeah, no wonder he keeps skipping Cobra meetings.
Yeah.
So he's got his Todger out.
I guarantee that's quite accurate. I reckon he's banging every night.
I reckon he calls it a Todger as well.
Probably. Or he calls it his Johnson.
Oh, I hope he does, but it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, if he's not saying, do you want to see Mr. Johnson's
Would you like to see Boris's Johnson?
Yeah, he's missing a trick.
In other words,
I bet that line works as well. I bet if you want to see my Johnson.
So in other words, if I paid you, would you touch it?
Yeah. But yeah, so
if I got you a government contract.
So yeah, I don't really blame people. But it would just be nice if people were more engaged, if people were a bit more self-introspective and all of that sort of thing.
Just for me as well, it's about following a thought through.
Yeah.
If you have a thought, so like quite famously, I always say, you know, the amusing one that always gets me is where I work. You know, I used to work on the phones, taking bookings for donations.
Yeah.
And furniture donations, and people would offer you. Oh, and not even on the phone, and you'd be like, they'd be like, I've got a sofa, and you're like, I'm sorry, that's not, and you get this hideous thing with like burn marks and springs missing or whatever, and you're like, no,
we don't want that shit.
That's good. And they go, what? It's for the, it's just for the homeless, isn't it? It's like, and all I think is follow that thought through. You think I'm going to give a rough sleeper a big 3-seater sofa to look around, tie a bit of string around it, and they can walk it up and down the street. And all you've got to do is just follow that thought through.
Yeah.
You know, just once you've had the thought,
I couldn't
envision
agree more.
it, move on, and like it's politically, it's exactly the same. I think just follow the thought through and kind of, like you said, really ask.
I try and apply that to everything I put out there. Like,
it doesn't always work. I'll grant you that.
I tweet a lot at them. I've been tweeting more at the moment.
You've been filling the gap that I created.
Well, the thing is, because I've seen that it can help with engagement for the podcast, that encourages me more to do it. But there's so many times I'll go to tweet something and I delete it because as I'm typing it, I'm like, no, I don't need to do that, or that doesn't quite make sense, or that I can't quite word it how I would like to word it at the moment. So I'm just not going to do it.
A few times I've been really proud of myself when someone's responded to a tweet or something.
Yeah.
And I've typed out this whole thing. I'm like, no. Because you know what? They're just looking for an argument.
Yeah.
It's not worth the engagement.
And
I'm not going to get through to this person and change their mind.
I got to that through
There's no point.
the football Twitter sphere, because I got to a point where I was like, why am I engaging with this? Like, I was spending so much time at night, like fucking tweeting and Facebook messaging, not messaging them, but like comment threads and stuff like that, of just people I'm never going to meet, and I don't give a shit what they actually think, but it bugged me at the time, like, oh, they think I'm stupid. But why do they think I'm stupid? And it's like, because I'm not stupid, and like, I made a decent point. Why do I give a shit?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I just stopped doing that, and I think more people should do that. And I think that's the problem. A lot of the issues with social media and people's behaviour on it, it's all a matter of choice. And it comes back to like what Ricky Gervais said in an interview once, that like, if you don't like what I'm putting out there or what I'm tweeting, unfollow me. You have the power to not see anything I'm putting out there.
Did you know Ricky Gervais is an atheist?
I've heard him mention it a couple of times. Yeah. Once or twice.
It's come up, right?
Yeah. I think he might have even done a special about it. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I'm pretty. I don't know if he mentions it in his stand-up.
No,
but
he tends to keep that sort of stuff out of it, doesn't he?
Apparently, it's something that he believes in.
Yeah, or doesn't.
Quite brilliantly.
Yeah.
By the way, if you ever want to see someone chop down Ricky Gervais, James Acaster does it beautifully.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
He calls him out for transphobia.
Okay, is that off? I haven't seen the recent.
No. So this is before.
Special.
So this was
James
Acaster doing his Cold Lasagna tour that I went and saw, by the way, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
He didn't do this bit when I didn't see this bit when he didn't do this bit when I saw him. But he does this thing where he comes out. He's like, "I'm an edgy comedian. I'm going to say edgy things, and if you don't like it, that's your problem. Because I'm edgy. What am I, too edgy for you?" And then he goes, "Do you know you've had a really tough time and need to be taken down a peg or two? The trans community." And then he turns around and he goes like, "No, I can't say what comedian that's about, because apparently people are more comfortable laughing at trans people than they are at Ricky Gervais."
That's fair. I think I haven't seen his recent.
I've seen clips, and it just looks like the same washed up material. That's easy jokes in some cases.
That's fair. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it. You could very well be right. Having listened to a lot of him being interviewed and him being quite honest, I think I understand where his comedy comes from. And I'm not going to defend everything he says because there's some of his jokes I haven't liked and I don't think they're funny. But again, that's my projection. Like one of them was, I didn't like the fact he joked about the Holocaust, but I know people.
I think there's the absolute king of the Holocaust jokes.
I know you say it every time with David Baddiel.
Oh, the David Baddiel's where I heard it. Yeah, but it's like you can't beat that. Although, no. I was going to say saying that to God. Implying that God was absent for it. It's quite a clever.
It's a very, very clever joke. So I think I sort of understand where Ricky Gervais comes from with his comedy, and I think it's because he is clever and he is good at comedy, and I think he puts the two together and tries to make jokes deliberate. I don't know if edgy is the right word. I think he likes to put it as close to the border as he can.
I think he's, and I don't mean because I've enjoyed some of his stand up in the past.
Yeah.
But I think he, for me, when I've watched clips of his recent show and his last show that he did, Supernatural. No, is this one Supernatural? Human was the last one.
It might have been Humanity or something like that.
And what it struck me is there's a real skill and an art to stand up, and I don't think he possesses that. I don't think he respects that as much as anything. I think he strolls up and does these, in my opinion,
Ricky
for the
Gervais
most part, lazy jokes.
That's fair.
Using the same tropes. So, like in the latest interview,
stand-up.
Sorry, there was a clip. The reason I said the atheist thing was he does this joke, and he's like, I'm an atheist. People come to me and they go, well, you don't believe in anything, or you don't even pray on anything. And he's like, yeah, and it's like, mate, no one says that to you. We all know you're a fucking atheist. I'm like, you can't just recycle the same material that you've been dragging for like 10 fucking years.
No, I get that.
And then taking easy pot shots at various minority groups because it's edgy.
See, I thought...
And playing on racism and xenophobia and that because it's edgy. You're like,
the Caitlyn
and the homophobia and
the
stuff.
Caitlyn Jenner joke in particular was very funny.
That one and the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
That was a good joke.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
That was a good joke, and I don't.
And that's the thing.
And he's good in those.
Yeah, when he gets those sort of jokes, that's where I really enjoy him, because it is a clever joke where people think he's taking
stand-up routine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that one it's making the joke is the stereotype of women jokers.
Absolutely.
That's the joke.
That's the sort of thing I like from him. But I can understand that he probably misses the mark on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think he fully respects that. You can tell, for me, that he didn't do the hard graft in the comedy clubs.
That's fair.
That he didn't hone that skill.
Yeah.
That he didn't learn how to write a tight five.
Maybe. You could be right.
That's just my opinion. That's just what I get watching it. Do you know what I mean?
That's
not. And like I said, I've enjoyed some of his stand-up in the past.
He's at that level now where he doesn't have to do that, does he? He can just rock up at a theatre or
I love that we've ended up on, like, we tangent so much. We just ended up doing a Ricky Gervais dissection.
Why not? I'm here for it.
Yeah, me too.
But, yeah, I think my issue I find sometimes is, though, and you could very well be right, but I find it difficult when I've watched a decent amount of someone and I feel like they've been quite honest about what their intentions are, how they go about things. When people then accuse them of something else or the opposite, I find that really difficult, and I don't know why. And maybe it's because I'm too trusting and a bit naive. I don't know, because, like I said, I've watched a lot of Ricky Gervais' stuff, and I've heard him talk about why he does the comedy he does and sort of why he crafts it the way he does. And I feel like it's genuine. But I don't know whether that's just me being naive and
I don't. Yeah,
trusting.
see, I almost think not the opposite completely, but I don't think that of Ricky Gervais. I think that
that's fair.
I think that he just writes like almost lazy sound, like the easiest jokes that he can get with, the lowest shots that he can take.
Yeah.
Just being, it's like, is it funny? Not necessarily, but it's kind of offensive, and it's like, cool, that's fine. I'm in that region. That's cool.
Okay.
And just kind of being like, I think that's where he just. Yeah, so I don't think necessarily that off the stage he believes all the things that he's joked about. I think he just sees it as writing an easy show.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I think we'll probably have to agree to disagree.
No, and that's cool. Like, it doesn't happen a lot on this podcast.
No, we don't agree on Joe Rogan. We don't agree on Ricky Gervais. That's fine. So we should have a list, really, shouldn't we?
We should start a list of things we disagree on.
And then I also think we should have a sound effect, and I'm really upset I don't have it like a swerving car noise so that we can, when these things happen, swerve back to the subject we're talking about.
Yeah, you're right. We should include that, and that's an oversight on your.
It is an oversight on my part.
And the technical issue in the first, it was the series opener, man.
Oh,
it was the.
Part of me was tempted to text you and be like, I don't want to release it.
I mean, I listened to it. It's like
if I'd have known the day I was editing it, the mistake I'd made. Like, if I'd have got the soundboard back out and my computer hooked it all up and figured out what I got wrong, I'd have probably said to you, I want to scrap it and
Let's
just
get
do
Alex
it
in
again.
And do it again.
But yeah, by the point I'd done it, I was sort of like...
It's too late now.
Yeah.
I've done too much work.
Yeah.
Unlike Boris, who does
but we
no
learn
work.
from it, and this episode will be better, and in fact it is better, so we live and learn.
I think you should give yourself a round of applause.
Yeah, I've got to find that though. It's number 1. And
even the podcast is laughing at you.
That's better.
Second time, you know what? I think that's an adequate lesson, because sometimes you've got to try again.
You have got to try again.
You know, sometimes you vote for someone like Boris Johnson and you get it wrong.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Okay, because you can vote better next time.
Yeah, yeah, and that makes me think of. I don't know if you probably saw it. It went quite viral. A bloke phoned up James O'Brien and started crying. Did you ever see that one?
Was it the "What have I done"?
Yeah, yeah.
Because he voted for Brexit thing.
Yeah,
yeah, I have.
Yeah, and that for me, it's like, look, we make mistakes, just learn from it and move forward.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Whereas not like this government and this prime minister that just carry on as normal. So yeah,
that was the thing with Brexit as well. It was like the people who voted for Brexit, which, you know, fair enough, let's say 52% of the voting public.
I was one of them.
But they all had different ideas of what Brexit
absolutely
was.
Yeah.
So when you break it down, the non-Brexit people, that's pretty clear. Stay in the EU, like there's no change needed.
No,
but
and
the pro-Brexit people, I think if you'd have offered them not join the EU, not leave the EU,
yeah,
leave the EU under a hard deal, leave the EU under a soft deal, blah, blah, blah. I think the the anti-Brexit side would have stay. I got that wrong. I took a 50-50 shot and I fucked it up. The stay campaign would have won.
mate. You just learn from it and carry on.
The stay campaign would have won.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think we made it too binary a choice, didn't we? It was just stay or leave.
Yeah, because as soon as the leave campaign won, it was very apparent, like, this is a lot more complex than we were sold it.
Yeah.
And that's both sides. Both sides were missold it on that front.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's absolutely fair. But yeah, so no.
But I think, the thing about Boris, like you said, look, taking it back, because I was going to say about Brexit, all the information was there. None of us looked hard enough. And all the information about Boris is also there. And again, it just seems like he's done really well to craft this image of himself. And it's really interesting the way we go, actually, mate, you've lied. You've been a real scumbag.
Yeah.
You should probably go. And he just goes, no, I don't want to. And we're all going around going, you know, can he do that? Yes, apparently he can.
Yeah, he can tell the entire country to
get stuff.
I hope that there's going to be, like, every episode one sound that you're just, like, drawn to more than any of the others. My only real shame is that in the last episode, I've
got one more Boris one, but the opportunity to use it just hasn't worked.
Hang on, wait. Do you want to mouth it to me or, like, write it down? And
we'll just do it. I've messed up enough times in this episode with the buttons. I'm not too worried about
it. Probably. This will probably be a laugh.
Yeah, it was him saying this.
Could feed some of the human beings to the animals.
But that just didn't really crop up. Do you know what I mean?
I think is his solution to the energy crisis.
It was to do with global warming, and they were talking about the ocean and the fact they were being overfished, and there was something else. And he said, and she was talking about one of the solutions they were applying, and because he starts off going, it's so sad, and then she starts continuing, and he just goes, we could feed the humans to the animals.
But I just think that is actually his benefit. The poor people.
Yeah,
if you absolutely. Just feed the poor people to the animals.
Less people to worry about.
And then there's fewer people to heat homes for.
Yeah.
And whatever else.
Yeah.
There was a great, by the way, in a Rishi Sunak, the man of the people, the billionaire man of the people. He sat in a
I have never seen, or perhaps it's happened and I've just not been paying attention, but in such a short space of time, someone go to
so high and so low.
So high to just, he's got no hope
Like
now.
literally 2 years ago, he arrived out of nowhere as the golden boy, and he was going to
drinking
be the next,
Yorkshire tea.
He was going to be the next leader of the Tory party.
Oh, he was
and
nailed
then
on,
suddenly,
wasn't it?
he is an absolute
Dominic
disgrace.
Raab is probably closer to it than he is.
And he was in a committee hearing recently, and the woman, I don't know who she was, because I've forgotten. And
That's fair.
But if you look it up, because she is phenomenal. She asked him about, because they're doing it, because obviously they initially they were going to do this £400 loan to all the households, every household across the country.
Yeah.
And then they were like, very recently, to save their own skin for the Partygate thing, they were like, oh, it's not a loan, keep it, you don't need to pay it back.
Yeah.
And she was like, but what about all the people with second homes that are going to get £800 that arguably don't need that help?
Yeah.
She said, what about the people with 3 homes that's going to cost the taxpayer £75 million extra than just paying them for the one home that they're living in? You know, do they need the help? Is that really a good, wise use of taxpayers' money? £75 million of taxpayer money. She kept quoting the figures at him for each different one.
Yeah.
And she was like, what about yourself, Chancellor? How many households are you going to get the money for? And he went, well, I'm going to give all my, I've already settled, I'm giving my money to charity. And she went, yeah, but how much is that?
Yeah.
How many homes are you receiving it for?
Yeah.
And it was just like, it's just this little boy squirming.
Mm.
It's sort of how
Well, the thing
Boris
is,
has
they
looked
don't
recently.
actually have an answer for anything, do they?
And do you know what's really upsetting, as we sort of, has been the continued theme through the pod, aside from Ricky Gervais, has been they don't need one.
No.
The damage has been done.
Yeah. And they can continue pretty much as they want.
Like I said, I can't believe that I'm actually yearning for the time in our younger years, and certainly in our sort of like childhoods, where politicians would just dance around an answer without answering it, rather than just lie.
Yeah.
Get caught in the lie and then deny that they lied.
Yeah.
It would be like you saying to me, like, for those of you that want to go on YouTube, and you can follow the links to do that, and you can see that my shirt is currently white. It would be like you asking me, is your shirt white? And back in the day, you get a politician sort of go, well, it's an interesting one to define. Obviously, different people see colours differently on the spectrum, and it's important to remember that all of those people are important people.
Yeah.
Whereas
and
now
all
they
the
just go,
colours are equal.
no, they just go, well, obviously, I'm wearing a green shirt. And you go, well, you're not. I can see that it's white. And I go, I never said it was green. And that's just okay now. That's the norm.
Yeah.
And yet I'm begging us to go back to the days when they would avoid answering the questions. It's so insane.
Yeah, it is insane. It's incredibly frustrating. And it's difficult not to just become apathetic and just
give up.
Yeah. And I think that's where I go in and out of that. Where I'll have a couple of
100%.
weeks where I'm just like, couldn't give a shit about any of it. Like, what could I do? Like, what can any of us do? And then I'm like, we should all be rioting.
Something's got to change.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
we've
something
got to
should
something.
be happening. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the guy who should be organising it, because that's a lot of effort and that's a lot
You're
of
too busy
responsibility.
working on your six-pack, which
Absolutely.
for anyone on YouTube will see that he's
Shout
wearing
out
a
to my
shirt.
partner.
Did she get you this?
She did.
Did Leanne get you this?
Leanne did get me this.
Keep my wife's name out your
Do you know what?
Yes.
After
I've
about
been waiting a week to use that.
After a few
week.
minutes of not having done a sound effect, I thought to myself, I can imagine Leanne's name's going to come up at some point.
At 100, I've been waiting all week.
So I went back onto that page.
Given that I knew that the episode was going to go out on Sunday with no sounds,
Yeah.
and it was just me basically just saying your wife's name and then waiting as if I'm waiting for a laugh or something, or an applause. As if I'm just saying, like, Leanne, you can clap now.
Keep my wife's name out
Yeah, it's just an unwritten rule on the pod now that any time Jake says her name, I
And
can
that's the
say
thing
it.
I've said before. I actually wouldn't say her name just out of respect for her. I'd refer
Yeah.
to her as like your fiance and that. But as soon as you got that bad boy,
Yeah.
I was like, she is going to get name dropped so
Well,
many
if
fucking
this
times.
lady you're dating becomes Mrs. Hayes, we can,
Oh,
reciprocate.
you can use it. You
Yeah.
can absolutely use it. Hundo.
Hundo, bro.
Hundo. And if you don't know what hundo means, there's actually an earlier episode where we went through some youth language.
I just want to say, bro, well done.
Thanks.
Another fantastic
If
plug.
I can't, it's a skill. Some people have it, some people don't.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Absolutely. I don't think I have it. Sorry, I
mean,
couldn't help myself.
I'm quite impressed you got that right.
Yeah.
given that.
Well, the thing is, there's a list.
No, I can see the list. Still didn't help me before.
No, to be honest though, I didn't know that existed before.
I don't mean before. I mean in this episode when you went for a laugh and you when you went for an applause and you got a laugh.
I'm going to be honest with you. I panicked and I looked and saw laughter. Laughter.
Okay, so I want you.
Yeah.
As we wrap up.
Yeah.
The world's a bleak place.
Yeah.
The future of British politics is absolutely tarnished.
Yeah.
I want you to throw me a sound that's going to make up for it and make me feel like maybe there's some good in the world. Maybe it's a good place.
I don't know.
Just to entertain us.
Just to entertain you. Well, in this case.
I will love it if we beat
them.
Love it.
And you know what? That is exactly what Sir Beer is saying right now.
Yeah, I'd love it if we beat them.
And I just wait. I'm going to cue you up for it. Just imagine, right? Sakir.
I'm on the radio.
It's general election 2023, and they say Sakir, polling, looks tight. It's going to be really tough. Those marginalised seats are going to be really important. How do you feel about it? And he says,
I will love it if we beat them. Love it.
Do you know what? If he said that in the campaign trail, it'd win
me
over.
It'd win me over.
It'd win me over in a heartbeat, especially if he did the accent.
Yeah, especially if he did.
If they were like, if he, Sir, Sakir, what are you thinking about the campaign trail? I'll tell you what, I would love it if we, because he's still got to go to Stockport and get something. He's still got to go and get a seat, and they're not going to go down easy. No. And I would love it. Yeah. Absolutely
so
love it.
So would I.
I would love it if he used that.
Yeah.
And I think that advice to Keir.
Guys, please let us know what you thought of this episode.
It was a bit random.
It is a bit random. We've talked about some stuff.
And do you know what? We haven't done politics in a while.
No.
And I feel like early on, it was just a lot of us venting.
Yes.
Like we hadn't done for a while.
Yeah, and I think that's fair.
That release
and
valve
then we started just
opened up.
Yeah. But let us know what you think about what we've talked about. We've talked about so much stuff. I actually can't remember what we've talked about.
Do you support? What do you think about Ricky Gervais? What do you think about Sir Keir Starmer and his chances? What do you think about Boris? What do you think about the vote of no confidence and what that means? And what do you think about Boris's legacy and the future of British politics?
And also, let us know don't tell me who you're going to vote for, but if you previously supported the Conservatives, if you don't now, let us know. Let us know why. We'd love to know your thoughts. Let us know what you think of the episodes, what subjects you'd like us to talk about, any sound effects you'd like on.
We can keep you anonymous. We can use all kinds of, voice modification tricks and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but I would love to genuinely get someone on. If you were out there and you're
if
British,
you're a staunch Boris supporter.
Well, I would love to hear from someone if you've changed your mind at any point. Either if you were one of those people in one of those red seats that voted Conservative for the first time, or vice versa, if you've been a Conservative, as you were saying, if you were a Conservative voter and now recently you're thinking about voting for someone else, I would love to get you on and just talk to you about that. So please reach out to us.
Yeah, and you can do that by checking us out on Facebook by searching Crossing Swords, on Twitter at Swords Crossing. We're on YouTube. Most of the time you just need to search Crossing Swords and the name of the episode. We also put a link in every description of the episodes on your podcast platforms. And then you can write to us at crossingswords19@gmail.com. And please, if you do go on YouTube, it would mean a lot to us if you could like and subscribe.
Yeah, you don't need to tune in and listen to
But what I would say
video,
is I checked our YouTube stats for the last episode and actually it's doing quite well.
It's up.
Yeah, it's up. It's doing quite well. And I'm really pleased with that, considering the issues we had with it, that enough people have been watching it. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come. So yeah, keep it up, guys. Keep listening, keep watching. And please share, like and subscribe.
Listen, we will be back with some cheerier content.
Oh, absolutely.
Next week
and I think we've had cheery moments in this, or at least funny moments in this.
I think so.
So yeah,
I'm biased. I appreciate.
Yeah, I appreciate our content if no one else does.
Well, thank God, because not many people.
No, we're getting there. We've
got lots of supporters. Right now, I would say we've probably got more supporters than Boris Johnson in his own party.
Be interesting.
Not in general. Obviously, I'm not comparing our listenership to 65 million people across the UK.
No.
That would be arrogant.
Yeah.
Although if anyone was going to make an arrogant statement between the two of us, it probably would be me.
Yeah.
But in his own party, we've got more supporters
possibly
than he has.
Maybe we're too left-leaning for them, though.
I mean, we're quite left-leaning. We wouldn't make it as Tories. We would not make good Tories.
No, I think I'd find it quite difficult.
No, we would struggle. We'd be like,
if I somehow ended up in the situation where I've been elected as an MP representing the Conservatives, something's gone wrong.
You'd go to do some work on a thing, and they'd be like,
by the way, guys, if there's anyone out there looking for candidates, I'm happy to earn 80 grand plus a year.
I'm always, I genuinely,
I'll sacrifice my beliefs.
I would say, like, couple of years, I consider running for Parliament.
Yeah,
it goes very quickly, but I consider it.
Yeah, it's so unrealistic though in terms of what you think you can actually do in politics.
I do imagine as a Tory, you having a discussion with one of the more senior members, being like, "Well, I can't help any of the poor people in my constituency. Like, not one. I can't just give one a bit of bread." And they're like, "No." What you can do is you can explain to them that Brexit's the reason that they've got more bread on the supermarket shelves, and the quality is been lowered. That we can increase the price, but you cannot actually help them.
No,
that's just not something we do here.
No, absolutely not.
And I would be like, you know what? This doesn't work because we're not psychically linked, and I don't have control of the soundboard. But what I was going to say is, gay.
Would you like me to play that for you, Jake?
Yeah, I'll redo it. This will happen a lot over the coming months. I'll redo bits. So I would be like,
what we can do, if you ever want to get involved with certain sounds, is I can put it in the middle of the table.
I'm good. It's fine. I might text you.
Okay.
I might WhatsApp you some sound requests.
Okay, that's absolutely fine.
But what I would say is, I can imagine as a Tory MP, I want to help someone in my constituency, and they're like, "No, you can explain things, but you can't actually help them." And I would say,
gay.
Because that's the kind of cool politician I am, guys.
That would be a very interesting response, and what a better place to leave it than that. So, guys, as always, and as I said at the start, please
forgive me
for my previous mistakes. We will continue to try and improve, and we will improve.
Do you know what? Much like Boris, Andrew's already told me he's not standing down.
No, absolutely
not. He's not resigning. He wants to draw a line under the sand
and move forward.
And he wants the country to move on. He wants our listeners to
I
just move on.
I want to get Brexit done, Jake.
I think you can. I think if anyone can, it's you.
Yeah, me too.
But you want to move. You want to draw a line on the sand, and you want us to move on because you think people don't care about silly technical mistakes.
No, they don't. What they care about is good content, and we bring good content.
And getting Brexit done.
And getting Brexit done, and I think I can do both.
I mean, you've definitely ticked the box for good content. Okay, that's in the bag. Don't worry about that. I can help lighten the load if you want.
Yeah.
But the get Brexit done is a big job.
It's a big job. I know the way I'd go about it. It'd be very similar. I'd probably ramp it up, if anything. Just get rid of the union. Solves all the issues.
Yeah. I mean, why do we even have poor people in this country?
And I would absolutely slap a hard border, destroy Ireland as much as possible.
Honestly, thought you were about to talk about hard-boiled eggs, which would have been a really weird segue.
No, I think...
Yeah, just destroy the union. Absolutely destroy the union. Yeah, Ireland, more borders.
I definitely privatise the NHS.
It's probably been
That's not even got anything to do with Brexit, but I'd do it anyway.
It's been too peaceful for too long.
Yeah.
Ireland, hasn't it?
What we've been missing in the union is civil war.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. There should be more division.
Yeah, not ramp up the
Unity
division.
is overrated.
Absolutely. Who wants to agree with other people? I don't.
And you know what? I don't agree with you on that. Which
I
weirdly means that I do agree that more people should be. We don't look too deeply into it.
No. So guys, as always, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.